Hi guys, and welcome back to Chat and Breeze. On today's topic of conversation, I want to talk to you about how you can save money. The money when you're starting a business. So these are all the things that I've learned in regards to myself. So when I started my company, and what I needed to spend money on and what I didn't need to spend money on, and where I can cut back. Because as we all know, when you start a business or when you're starting a company or whatever it is expensive, and we don't all have that extra cash flow that can afford to hire someone for this and do something there, and whatever it is, every penny absolutely counts and every penny needs to be accounted for. So I just think that it would be super helpful to everyone to let me tell you about what journey I've been on and where my money saving tips potentially could come in useful for you or to you, and where also potentially money has to be spent. And I did want to kind of proceed and just say that obviously for anyone just watching who's new, this is for myself. I am creating my own t-shirt brand. So obviously things can potentially change depending on your industry and stuff like that. I don't want to say that this is very kind of broad for everything, because that's a bold statement to make and I'm not 100% sure on that. But there will definitely be tips and some tricks in here that can help you depending, no matter what industry you're in, because there's going to be certain things that every person who's starting a company is going to be using. That being said, let me crack on. Right, I've written this down. So first one. So if obviously you are like me and you need images to sell your product, then do not be afraid to take those images yourself. Do not think that you need a photographer to come in and do a proper big shoot and, you know, all that kind of jazz. If you have the money for it, fantastic. If you don't, that's okay. There are many great iPhones out on the market that obviously you could potentially have already got one. Maybe you can borrow a friend's or a family's if they've got a better upgraded version, or whether it's, you know, whatever phone. Our phones are amazing now and they are just as good as cameras. If you do have a camera, then obviously you can use that. What I'm trying to say is you can shoot your own t-shirts. You don't need someone else, and you don't need to pay for someone else to do that for you. All you need is a blank background. And nowadays there are so many apps that you can manipulate the backgrounds and stuff like that if you slightly want to make it different. But as long as you start with a plain white background, you can build on top of that. You can't, it's harder to take away than it is to add in. So I would suggest you just get a white cloth, like white blank canvas, pop your product on that, and you can do that at home. All you need is a wall to pin it onto, and then obviously your product. So that's number one. You can shoot your own products. Number two, which ties in a little bit with the photography side of things, if you need videos, you need videography. Again, you don't need to employ someone to do this for you. You can absolutely do it yourself. Same concept, same theory. Use your phone, use your cameras, whatever you have access to, do it and shoot it yourself. If you have a concept and an idea, yes, sometimes you might have the most amazing idea and you think, oh my god, this would look fantastic, but it's going to you know, require for you to have a lot of extra, I don't know, lights and cameras and, you know, everything else. Maybe for the time being, until you get some money coming in from your company, you might need to scale it back a bit. Doesn't mean that it can't be just as great, it just has to be different. So don't get your mind set and stuck in a box of a certain thing which is all explosions and cameras and lights and everything else. And then you just think that you need to build a budget to shoot exactly that. Potentially for your first video, you might want to scale it back a little bit and obviously shoot somewhere that you have accessibility to the location, so you don't have to pay for the location. For myself, I used outside and I used my own flat and the building, which everything was free. There was nothing that I had to pay for. Number 3, if you need models, then why not use people who you know? If that's a possibility for you, then use your friends, use your family. I mean, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, majority of the time, unless you're looking for an elite looking model, then you want to see everyday people in campaigns. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you don't have that, then potentially why not go on a site like Star Now? There's lots of people who are still building portfolios, so are happy to do free work. Some people you might just need to pay for their travel. Other people are happy to even pay for their own travel. So you can just work that out, and you just put all that information initially in your ad so people know what it is that they are applying for, to know if it's something that they would want to do or not. But there is options on platforms like that that you can go to if you don't have somebody that you can just call up and ask. Website. So again, with a website, you do not need to pay someone to create your website. Thank goodness. We're in the current day and age now that you don't need to know about coding and all this jazz. There are many different platforms that you can use to create your own website. Remember, if this is your first company, your first business, of course you want it to look amazing. Of course you want it to look bomb. But it doesn't need to look like, you know, there's no point comparing it to somebody who's got millions or a £1 billion company when you have zero, zilch, nothing just yet. So let's be realistic about it. Why not create your own website? If you're someone who's not techie whatsoever, like myself, I can't say I am the most, you know, techie person. However, sacrifices need to be made. There is enough videos, there's enough YouTube content out there. Depending on where you're going to go to start your site, they also have kind of handbooks, so to speak, to assist you in building and creating your own site. You can figure it out, you can work it out. Yes, it might take you a little while, but guess what? It's also going to save you money, which is what the aim of the game is in the long run. Number 4, I think we're on number 4 now. Social media. Why not use what we have to the best of our ability, which is social media? It is free, guys. Yes, I know everyone knows this. But don't worry, you don't need to spend money on ads, you don't need to spend money on ad campaigns and all that kind of stuff. If you have it in the account, fantastic. Yes, you might want to post a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad or whatever it is. But for the time being, use what is free to you. Push it out there. Use that content. Reuse the content. Keep pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. Make new content. Throw that out there. The more content you make, as we all know, every social media platform then picks that up because they realize that you're active on the platform. It might take you a while, yes. It might take you a bit longer than what being able to pay for an ad would give you in regards to audience. However, it's free. Let's not knock it because it absolutely works. It's been shown time and time again. And when your business is being successful and you can afford for these ads, then of course, boom, put that money down and pay for an ad. But until then, use what is free to you. Guys, number 5. If you have a product that is a actual physical product, you're not selling something online, then to be able to save some money, why not do it yourself? Why not do your packaging yourself? Why not do your branding yourself? Do all of this yourself. It saves you so much money instead of paying for someone to do it for you. I know that might mean long hours. I understand that not everyone's lifestyle, you know, you might have kids and a family and goodness knows what, you might already be doing 3 jobs and you're thinking, oh my goodness. But if money really is tight, I can assure you it's going to be a lot better for you to just get those products out by wrapping them yourself, by putting those cards in yourself and all that kind of jazz. Number 6, if you're someone who is able, you know, and you're creative and you're able to get your brand and logo and stuff together by yourself, then absolutely do it yourself. There's so many different apps out there nowadays that enable you to create a branding, you know, logo yourself, and it looks very, very good. It looks high spec. It looks like a professional has done it. If that is not your forte, if that's not your forte and you need a bit more assistance, then brilliantly, there is a website called Fiverr, which, as we know, or if you don't know, is definitely worth a check out. Now, Fiverr, for people who don't know, is a great website which basically enables people to use or put their services out there for us to use, and you can obviously have a look at people's work depending on what it is that you require doing. So if it's a website or if it's a logo or whatever it is, and they have the price next to their services, so you can obviously go for someone a little bit cheaper if you don't have the budget, and so on and so forth. So Fiverr is a great one because people do work on a fairly cheap basis if your budget's a little bit more stringent. Sorry guys, as it always happens, my battery ran out and it's just been a little bit trying to get everything back together again. But we're back in the game. And it's at a good point because I just wanted to go through things that you definitely have to spend money on. These are the things that you definitely need to put aside budget for, because this is the stuff which will cost you a little bit of money, Hannah. This is stuff like, obviously, I don't even know what we're on. We're gonna go start again because now this is a separate section. Number one, you need to spend money on your actual product. So if it is something that you are buying, creating, whatever, and you're gonna sell it as a physical product, then of course you need to pay for that physical product. So make sure you have enough money put aside for the purchase of whatever it is that you're buying. For myself, obviously, I purchased my t-shirts. So yes, I had to put X amount of money aside so I can buy my t-shirts. Second one, depending on if you need a trademark or not, that is something that will cost you money. There is no other cheap way of doing it. It is the price that it is, and that is it basically, depending on what your territories are and where you're buying. So if you just want to buy in one particular territory, so one country, then obviously that will just be the price of that. But if you also want to make sure that you have trademarking all over the world, that is of course going to cost you more. Do remember, just as a side note, that you need to buy in your own territory first. That needs to be approved. That is probably about a 3-month process of approval before you can start buying in other territories. So make sure timeline wise that you have given yourself enough time for it. But that is of course a fixed price. That's a government thing. So there is no getting around how much that's going to cost you. Number 3, if you need a patent, however you want to pronounce it. I'm not sure of the correct way, to be honest with you. But that, of course, is going to cost you some money, and that is not cheap. So whereas a trademark might cost you a few hundred, a patent will potentially cost you a few thousand. So do please be aware of that, have a look into it. And that will absolutely differ depending on your product, depending on what you're trying to patent and all that good stuff. But that is something which, again, fixed price. You can't go anywhere else to get it. It is what it is, and it is the price that it is. So if that is something that you definitely need to get done, then make sure that you put money aside for that. That is not a cheap thing that you need to purchase. Hosting domains as well, of course, you want to make sure that you are covering your www. So whether that's .co.uk, .org, .gov, whatever it is. I don't know why I said .gov, but anyway, you get the drift. You need to make sure that you cover that and you pay for that. Again, you can go on many different websites. I went on Reg123 to purchase mine, which was very handy. That then covers me, so nobody else can take that from me. I own my domain, so I own my www.chattingbreeze.whatever. Now, do obviously, of course, again, side note, be aware that depending on the name that you've chosen, maybe someone else has it. That again can make it differ in cost as well. If it's a popular name and somebody has purchased it, then if you want to purchase it off of them, or if it's coming up for renewal, that will bump up the price, then something that maybe people aren't particularly too interested in or haven't purchased before. So one thing I would say with this is make sure that you purchase your name before you start putting all of your products out there on the market, because unfortunately there are some people in the world who may want to purchase it, so then you have to buy it back from them, which is a sucky thing, because then obviously they can name their price. Yes, and that becomes a little bit more of a bartering situation, which nobody wants to get into. So make sure that you go on and buy as many of the domains as you can. If it's something which hasn't been used before, you can probably purchase it from like £10, £20. I mean, if it's something, as I said, that isn't renowned or isn't already used or isn't well known, and you've just created a name yourself, that will be cheaper. So please do bear in mind, because that is a price that you can make that either as expensive or as cheap as you want. If you are purchasing a name like banana or something, you're probably going to find that that might be a little bit more expensive. It actually is a name, obviously, of a product, i.e., you know, a banana is a fruit. Then if you decide to put a name together which it isn't kind of around, so I don't know, you want to put together something which is Applebee's, I don't know, that's the worst name ever. So as you can see off the top of my head, probably not the great, but you can then obviously create something which isn't around, isn't a product already, isn't on the market, which means that it will be a lot cheaper to purchase. So do have a look when you're choosing your brand name, how much it is, because that might be, if it's going to cost you a few £100s and you don't have that kind of money, you might want to rethink your name, but at least you haven't put your branding on everything, and now you have to obviously purchase the name and all your www dots. Anyway guys, I really hope that this has been helpful. These are some of the things that I've learned along the way so far, and as I said, where I could pull back money, where the money that I know that I need to invest or put into my company is. So yeah, any questions, then please do pop a comment in the comment box below, and if not, then I will see you next week. Bye.